What game has 6 billion players, all of whom lose? Yep, you guessed it. Life. That sounds a bit pessimistic. What I mean by lose is simply die, so when Cody Weber made his book, How to Fail at Life, he didn't really need to write an entire book, he could have just written the word die. Anyway, what is life? What is life to me? What you're now seeing is what was previously behind the camera, outside my window. Trees, grass, plants. A moment ago there was a bee that came up to the window and tried to get in. All what I consider to be forms of life. Plants, animals, humans, but not Earth, not cartoon characters. I'm not going to go with this whole Gaia thing that says, that Earth is alive. And like Javier said, cartoon characters being alive, that is just to me a metaphor. So based on those parameters, how would I be able to define life as I see it? Now, I'm not a biologist, so I may very well miss a couple of things. I would draw the line as the smallest life as being the cell. Most bacteria are single cells and they're considered to be alive. And to my knowledge, all larger organisms perceived to be alive contain cells. Now you could challenge this, you could say, well, what about DNA? But I would just see that as the blueprint of life, and anything that, any earlier version of DNA like RNA, I would say exactly the same about that. From this I can deduce two properties of life: growth and the ability to reproduce. A cell reproduces by dividing, and obviously if it divides, if it turns into two cells, then it has to grow in some respect. After all, two cells are larger than one. Again, to my knowledge, all plants and animals grow from some arbitrary size at the moment of conception. Now going back to what I said about DNA not being life. I've done, again, a quite limited amount of research, but from what I've seen, it doesn't look like DNA can replicate independent of a cell or some process. It can't replicate itself without help from something else, like an enzyme or something like that. Again, if I'm completely wrong here, feel free to challenge this. Like I said, I'm not a biologist, so yeah. So two important factors to life as I see it are growth and self-replication. What about looking at this from another perspective? Well, as Andrew said, experience factors a lot into life. When I think about myself being alive, I think, well, I can see certain things, I can smell certain things, I can feel certain things, I can taste certain things, and I can hear certain things. I can find out new information, I can store that information, sometimes I lose it, sometimes I hold on to it. That information is then what I use to navigate this world as a very complex biological machine. We go out and discover what we can do with this world. We take resources from this planet and find different uses for them. And eventually we get to where we are now. We have technology that makes our lives easier. And as we learn more and more about AI, we get closer and closer to producing what could arguably be called artificial life. What's more is that I'm a biological machine here just to continue the human race, and life in general is here for absolutely no reason. But that doesn't mean that we can't all work together for a common purpose, for progress, to further our achievements. Excellent question, Javier. Thank you for asking it. I hope my answer, as always, was sufficient, and goodbye.